There is a ring in the bowl that will not come off. You know the one. That pale chalky band where the water sits, gone the color of old bone, a little rough under the brush, and no matter how hard you scrub, it stays. Up under the rim, in the places your eye doesn't reach, a streak of rust, orange, brown at its edges, that has been there longer than you have. Maybe you just moved into the place the way I once did, and someone else's years are sitting in your bathroom. Or maybe it's your own home, and the ring simply crept back, a little darker each season, until one day you stopped seeing it, because seeing it only made you tired. So you buy the blue gel. You buy the one shaped to squirt up under the rim. You scrub and you wait and you scrub again. And the ring is still there. Let me tell you why it's still there. And then let me show you the one thing that takes it off. For the price of almost nothing, my name is Maya Sato. I am 58 years old, and I have not bought a bottle of toilet cleaner or scale remover or any of those bright squirting things in more than 30 years. Not one. I keep an old house, shoji screens, tatami, a teapot that has outlived 3 kettles, and I was raised mostly by my grandmother, my Oba-chan, in a wooden farmhouse up in the mountains of Nagano, where the winters bite and the summers turn the air to water. We had almost no money. What we had was her, and the things under the sink, and a way of doing nearly everything for nearly nothing. She wasted nothing. Motanai, she called it. The small sin of throwing away what could still be used. I have kept a home her way for 50 years. I know this works because I have done it every season for decades, not from a label, from my own 2 hands. So here is what I'm going to show you today. One thing, not 2, not a cupboard of bottles. One ordinary thing you very likely already have, and the right way to use it, which is not the way most people use it. Because most people pour something in, walk away, come back, and find it barely touched. I'm going to show you how to get it to work properly. On the ring at the water line, and on those rust streaks up under the rim where liquid won't even stay. It will cost you pennies. It will ask for a little patience, because this is slow, and I won't pretend otherwise. But there's one more thing, and I want you to stay with me to the end for it, because it's the part the people who sell you the blue bottles would rather you never heard. They have for years taught you to mix 2 things together to clean this. 2. And I'm going to show you that mixing those 2 things is the very reason it never worked. Stay with me, and I'll tell you who that little lie was really for. Now, the first thing most people get wrong. You've been told, probably more times than you can count, to mix baking soda and vinegar, juso and su we'd call them. You tip in the white powder, you pour on the vinegar, and it foams up big and dramatic, and it feels like something powerful is happening. Here is the truth. That foam is the 2 of them destroying each other. The powder is a mild base, the vinegar is a mild acid, and when they meet, they cancel. They neutralize, the chemists say, and all that fizzing is them giving up their strength to one another, turning into little more than salty water and gas. By the time the show is over, you have almost nothing left to clean with. You've watched your 2 cleaners politely undo each other in your toilet bowl. So when someone tells you the 2 together are a powerful secret, gently, that is backwards. You don't want them together. You want one of them alone at full strength. And now the second thing. The one that changes everything. That ring is not dirt. Scrubbing harder will never win, and now you'll know why. It isn't grime sitting on top of the surface. It is stone. When you have hard water, and most of us do, the water carries dissolved minerals, mostly lime, calcium, and every time it sits and dries, it leaves a little of that mineral behind. A little, and a little, and a little, for years, until it has built up in layers, hard, like the scale inside a kettle, like the crust on a cave wall. You are not looking at a dirty toilet. You are looking at a thin shell of rock that the water laid down one drop at a time, and you cannot scrub rock away, but you can dissolve it. Acid dissolves this kind of stone. It always has. And that is the whole secret of today. In a single sentence, stop scrubbing the stone. Dissolve it. So here is the one thing. Acid, a mild, ordinary kitchen acid, used properly. In my home, and in Japanese homes generally, the one we reach for is quensan, citric acid, a little white powder sour as a lemon that you buy cheap and keep in a jar by the sink. It is the everyday descalaire in this country. It lives right next to the salt. But I won't pretend you have a jar of it in the cupboard this minute, and you very likely have the other one. Plain white vinegar, Sue, distilled, clear, the cheapest bottle on the shelf. Not the brown malt kind you'd put on your chips, not the good wine vinegar you'd cook with. The plain, clear, cheap white vinegar, because the color in the others is from things you don't want smeared round your bowl. If you can find what's sold as cleaning vinegar, it's a touch stronger and works a little faster. But the ordinary bottle is fine. It's just patient. Either one, the citric acid or the white vinegar, is a mild acid, and a mild acid is the natural enemy of mineral stone. That is the entire tool. One acid. Now let me show you how to use it so that it truly works, because this is where almost everyone goes wrong. And here is the one thing most people miss, the small step that makes the whole difference, and almost nobody does it. Before you pour in a single drop, you get the water out of the bowl. Think about it for a moment. There's already water standing in the bottom, clean water, plain water. And if you pour your vinegar straight in on top of it, what happens? You water down your own acid. You take that nice sharp vinegar and you dilute it with a bowl full of plain water, and then you wonder why it came out weak. So first we lower the water. The easy way. Take your toilet brush or a plunger and push it down into the bottom of the bowl, into the throat where it bends out of sight, and pump it a few times. You're pushing the standing water out through the pipe, the same way a flush does, and the bowl drains down low. If you want it truly dry and on a bad stain, I do, you can sponge the last of it out, or scoop it with an old cup you don't mind parting with. Get that water line down below the stain. Now the surface is bare and dry and ready. Now when you pour, your acid sits on the stone at full strength, undiluted, doing the one job you brought it for. That single step, empty first, is the difference between this working and not working. Write it down, if you write anything down today. Empty the bowl first. Now we pour. Bring your vinegar and pour it in slowly right around the bowl, letting it run down over the ring at the water line until it pools and covers the worst of the stone. Fill to just a little above where the stain stops, so the whole band is sitting under acid. And then, and this is the hard part, for people like me who want it done now, you leave it alone. You let it dwell. This is not fast. I won't lie to you and say it fizzes the stain away in 2 minutes, because it doesn't. And anyone who tells you it does is selling you something. Vinegar is gentle. Gentle takes time. So pour it and walk away and go and do something else with your afternoon, a couple of hours at the very least. If the stone is thick and old, give it longer. Half a day does no harm at all. I'll be straight with you. The one mistake I still make, after all these years, is impatience. I come back too soon because I want to see. Don't be me. The longer that mild acid sits against the stone, the more of it quietly turns soft and lets go. Time is doing the scrubbing you used to do with your arm. Let it. Now, someone always asks me, isn't there something faster? And yes, there is. The trade has strong acids that'll do in 15 minutes what our vinegar does in an afternoon. I know them well. I'm not going to hand them to you, and here is why. They are harsh enough to burn your skin, to ruin a surface, to fill a small bathroom with fumes you do not want in your chest. And the whole reason we're here, you and I, is to do this safely, cheaply, with a thing already in your kitchen. Speed is the one thing I'll happily trade away for your safety and your few coins. Let the afternoon do it. You've got other things to do anyway. But the water line is the easy part, because the liquid pools there on its own. The hard part is up under the rim and on the rust streaks, and anywhere the stain runs up a slope where vinegar simply slides off and won't stay. You can't pour a puddle onto a wall. So here is what we do. And this is an old trick, a poultice, a compress. The same idea your own grandmother might have used to draw something out with the damp cloth held in place. Take ordinary toilet paper, a good thick wad of it, and soak it in the vinegar until it's heavy and dripping. Then press it up, flat, against the underside of the rim, against the rust, against the streak that runs above the water, and let it stick there. The wet paper clings to the surface, and it holds the acid against the stone in the one place a liquid never could. Slowly, for hours, exactly where you need it. Press a fresh soaked wad onto every stained patch under that rim. It will look strange, I'll grant you. Your bathroom will look, for an afternoon, like something went a little wrong in there. Let it. That paper is doing the work the liquid can't, holding the acid up against the stone where gravity is against you, dissolving the rust and the scale in the hidden places. And those hidden places, mind you, are exactly what make a toilet look old and dirty, even when the open bowl is clean. When you come back, that paper will have done what no amount of scrubbing under the rim ever did for you. So, you've waited. A few hours have passed. The afternoon is nearly gone, and you come back. Peel the paper down off the rim, and you'll see it right there on the tissue, the orange of the rust and the gray of the scale, lifted clean off and carried into the paper, off your toilet and onto something you can simply drop away. Now look at the bowl. Most of that ring, the great bulk of it, will have gone soft, or gone entirely just from the sitting. Take your brush and gently, you don't need force anymore, go around the band a few times. What would have taken 20 minutes of furious scrubbing before will take you a minute or two now, because you're no longer fighting rock. You're wiping away rock that's already turned to mush. And if a thin shadow of stain still clings on, especially if it was very thick or very old, don't fret and don't reach for anything harsh. Just do it again. Lower the water, pour the vinegar, give it one more hour, brush it once more. 2 gentle passes will beat 1 violent one every single time, and they'll do it without scratching the glaze or wearing out your shoulder. Patience, not muscle. That's the whole of it. Let me tell you where I learned this, because it wasn't from a toilet at all. Up in that farmhouse in Nagano, the water came hard out of the mountain, full of the stone it had run through, and everything it touched, it slowly turned white. The kettle first. I can still see the inside of Oba-chan's old iron kettle furring up pale and rough, the spout half closing with it, and I remember being small and asking her if it was broken. She laughed at me. "No," she said, "that's just the mountain. Come to live in our kettle." And she'd pour in a little sou, our vinegar, or a spoonful of that sour white powder, and set it by the stove and leave it. The next morning the white was loose, sliding off in soft flakes, the kettle clean and bright as new, the spout open again. The mountain had let go. She did the very same to the stone basin by the door, where we washed our hands, the same to the tiles, the same to anything the water had crusted over. She never scrubbed any of it. She'd shake her head at scrubbing. Too much arm, she'd say, for too little. She let the sour water do the patient work, while she did the work that mattered most. And what she taught me, without ever once saying it like a lesson, is the very thing I told you at the start. It is not dirt, it is stone that the water left behind, and stone you do not scrub. Stone you dissolve. And that, you see, is why this works on far more than your toilet. The very same vinegar, the very same patience, takes the white crust off your kettle, off your taps, where the water dries and leaves its little rings, off the glass of your shower door, where it's gone cloudy and gray, off the shower head, whose tiny holes have furred up and weakened the spray. Tie a bag of vinegar around that overnight, and the spray comes roaring back in the morning. It is one principle, doing one thing, all over your home. Wherever hard water has dried and left its stone, a mild acid and a little time will lift it. Learn it once, here, on the worst stain in the house, and you own it everywhere. Now, a few of you are already asking me questions, and good. Let me answer them. What if your water is very hard, the worst kind, the sort that crusts a kettle in a week? Then this is doubly for you, and you simply do it a little more often, and you keep a jar of citric acid by the toilet, because it's stronger by the spoonful than vinegar is by the cup. What if you're in a small flat, thin walls, a neighbor close by, and you don't love the smell of vinegar? It's sharp, I'll grant you, but it fades fast. Open the little window, let the air move, and within the hour it's gone. And it's taken the stale bathroom smell out with it, which is more than the perfume gels ever truly did. And what if you don't want to do this big rescue every few months? Then here's the gift at the end of it. Once the bowl is clean, you keep it clean the cheap way. Once a week, a good splash of vinegar in the bowl at night, left till the morning, then brushed and flushed. That's all. The stone never gets the chance to build into rock again, because you never let it sit and harden. A minute a week, and you will not see that ring come back. Now I promised you honesty, so here's the plain truth of what this does and what it does not. It lifts mineral scale, and it lifts that rust staining beautifully given the time. What it cannot do is mend. If your toilet is old and the glaze underneath has worn thin or cracked, the stain can sit down inside those cracks where no acid will fully reach, and you'll get it most of the way, but not all the way to gleaming, And that isn't dirt anymore. That's a damaged surface. And no bottle on earth fixes that either. And on truly ancient, thick, years-deep scale, just accept that it may take more than 2 passes. Slow and steady, it gets there. But now listen to me closely, because this is the one part of today I truly need you to hear. Never, never mix vinegar or any acid with bleach. Not in the bowl, not in a bucket, not anywhere. If you've been using a bleach cleaner in that toilet, and most people have at some point, then before you bring vinegar anywhere near it, flush it well, rinse it, and let it clear completely first. Acid and bleach together make a poison gas, a real one, the kind that has sent people out of their own bathroom and into a hospital. And it is not worth your life to rush this. So, one or the other, never both, and clear out the old before you start the new. Open your window while you work, not because the vinegar is dangerous, it isn't, but because moving air is simply good sense. And one more. If you have natural stone anywhere near, a marble floor, a stone counter, travertine tile, keep the acid well off it, and wipe any splash at once, because acid eats that stone the very same way it eats the scale. It can't tell the difference between them. On your porcelain bowl, it's perfectly safe. Just keep it where it belongs. So, the part I asked you to stay for. Why, if it is this simple? 1 cheap acid, a little time? Were you never just told? Why were you taught instead to mix 2 things that cancel each other into salty water, and to buy a blue bottle, and another one shaped for the rim, and a third that promises to keep it fresh? I'll tell you what I believe. Gently, because I'm not angry about it, only a little sad. There is no money in this. There's no money in a thing that already sits under your sink, that costs a few coins, that you learn once and then never buy again. There is a great deal of money in the other story, in the bottle that empties and must be bought again, in the perfume that quietly teaches your nose that clean is a smell instead of the simple absence of stone, in the confusion that keeps you reaching for the next product because the last one let you down, that fizzing 2-ingredient trick, the one that fails. That failure is useful to somebody. It keeps you shopping. A toilet you can clean for pennies, with a little patience, more or less forever, is a customer lost. And so the simple thing slipped quietly out of the world, not because it stopped working. It never stopped working, but because it could not be sold. My Oba-chan's whole generation knew 1,000 things like this, 1,000 small ways to run a home on almost nothing, and we let that knowledge go. We traded it for convenience and bright bottles, and we called it progress. I don't think it was all progress. I think we were quietly robbed of something, one cupboard at a time, and handing a piece of it back to you, this one small piece, is the whole reason I sit here and talk. So this week, here is your small list. Buy the cheapest bottle of plain white vinegar there is, or a jar of citric acid if you can find it. Lower the water in the bowl first, always. Pour the acid over the ring. Soak a wad of paper and press it up under the rim where the rust hides. Then walk away and let the afternoon do the work. Come back, brush it gently, and do it once more if it needs it. And then, to keep it that way, a splash a week. That's all of it. And then tell me something down below, because I do read them. Everyone. Tell me where you live, and how hard your water runs, and which stain in your home has beaten you the longest. I want to know what you're up against. Tell me, and I'll do my very best to help. Now, Since we've spent today talking about water and what it leaves behind and the damp that gathers in a bathroom, next time I want to take you somewhere. The damp is quieter and far more dangerous. The closet in the rainy season. Tsuyu, we call it. Those long weeks when the whole house seems to breathe water and the cupboards go musty and the clothes come out smelling of mildew. I'll show you how my Oba-chan kept the closets bone dry all the way through it, with nothing but a few old things and a little knowing. Come back for that. Until then, waste nothing. Take care of your home, and it will take care of you. I'll be here.